The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to Web Portals for GP, an ISC software presentation. Next slide, please. All right, perfect, thank you. We'll start with introductions. So my name is Ashley Canali, a strategic account manager here at LBMC. I will be your host today, but way more importantly, we have Ian Grieve on the line who will be our presenter, and he's going to show you some things on web portals. We also have Richard Lloydell on the phone, who is part of ISC, as well as Lisa Cumming, our other strategic account manager. For questions, if you wouldn't mind, please putting those questions in the question box to the right. We will answer those at the end. Of course, we always record our webinars, so we'll send those out to any attendees after the recording is done. And at this time, I will hand it off to Ian.
Thanks very much. I'm actually going to allow Richard to do the first part though, so we'll hand it across to him.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everyone. My name is Richard Lloydell. I'm Sales and Marketing Director at ISC Software. We're based over in the UK. We're based in a small town called St Ives, which is in Cambridgeshire. And I'm here with my colleague Ian Grieve, our lead ERP consultant. So a bit of background: ISC Software, a Dynamics GP partner in the UK. We implement and support and develop solutions for our clients. But in addition to that, we also develop our own add-ons that we've developed. And in addition to that, we've also created our own web portals, and it's the web portals that we're going to focus on in the session today. The main portals that we have a portal that's focused for customers that enables your customers to log into that to see their data from Dynamics GP. Ian will explain how that's all done using Azure. Where we have the ability for customers to log in to see their data. We have the ability for sales teams to work with data through these web portals as well. And we also have a web portal for purchasing teams to enable them to for requisitions and approvals. And we've also got additional add-ons that we have as well, but we're going to be focusing on the portals today. Thanks, Ian.
Okay, thanks, Richard. So yeah, the first portal I'm going to quickly show you is PurchaseHQ. As Richard says, this is one aimed at customers. It can be used by internal salespeople as well. So both customers and salespeople can log on and see information, but CustomerHQ is a smaller set of functionality than SalesHQ. Okay, so basically within CustomerHQ, you can search transactions, you can drill down and see the full information, you can produce PDFs off the system, as well as exporting information out to Excel and seeing customer statements. Now, I prefer to be much more hands-on than slide deck related. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the portal. So this is the login screen for CustomerHQ. You can customize it by putting your own favorite icon on the system, putting a company logo in, and changing the background. That's all configurable. So what some people do is they'll put a photograph of their company headquarters or a local landmark as the background image on there. Logins are created via windows that are added to Dynamics GP from the customer card. So I can show that later on if anyone wants to see it. But what you do is you create the customer, you set them a password, but they can reset the password through the portal themselves. So when they log on, put the credentials in, and you log in, and this is the homepage that they'll see. So I've logged in as Bob Fitzsimmons, who's a member of staff at Aaron Fitz Electrical. So at the top here, we see some basic information about the creditor, and I can drill and see the account summary. It shows me trading information such as the current balance, the year-to-date sales, and I also see where I am in terms of aging information for transactions on the system. So in this case, not very good, a few current things, but a lot of stuff which is quite old. So this is all drawing information from Dynamics GP. Now, one key thing about the portals, now that I'm showing you a bit of information here, is to stress that no information is held on the Azure-based portal. Users log into the portal and it communicates through an Azure relay to a connector service that runs on a local server that sits talking to the SQL database to get the information. But all communication is initiated by that connector service. It talks out through the firewall to the Azure relay, which the portal talks to. So there's no requirement for an open port on the firewall, inward bound. All communication starts outward bound. That creates the link that communication goes through. So there's no open ports, so it's secure. It also uses TLS 1.2, so it's not one of the versions that's going to be retired in the fairly near future by the major browser companies. Okay, so this is Customer HQ. If I go back to the home page, we have two sections here, transactions, which I can drill into, and I can see in here, if I ask it for the information from Fabricam for the first quarter of the year, hit filter there, it'll do a search and find me all of the transactions. I can see the sales invoices, I can see the payments, I'll see any credits or anything else on there. And if I pick a transaction and drill in, what it'll do is it'll show me the details. I can see individual lines that was ordered. If this was a 10-line order, I'd see 10 lines. If it was a 100-line order, I'd see the 100 lines. We've got the VAT summary and other information there, and the PDF icon at the top allows me to drill in, and sorry, not drill in, but allows me to download a PDF version of the invoice. Okay, and if I go back out, what we've then got, if I come back to the home page, sorry, is actually no, one last thing on the transaction side, saying that I can filter it down based on the information there. What I can also do when I have the information on the screen, if I know I'm looking for a certain document number, I can type that document number in and it'll filter the list down. Likewise, I can filter it down and exclude certain document types on the system. Okay, and the other thing I can do as a customer is go into statements and see the information. And what this will do is it'll show me all statements produced within the last 2 years. And I can drill in and I then see the statement. So I can see that in this case, a lot of payments, a lot of invoices gone through. And again, I can download a PDF version of that statement. And because the information is tied to the customer, as a customer, I will only ever see my information. You have to explicitly create a log on for a customer record to allow them to be able to see things, and you can choose if somebody sees statements or not. So they might just be able to see the transactions and not the statement side. So what I'll do is I'll quickly sign out and sign back in as a salesperson. So just to show the difference here, much of it is the same. The difference is that as a salesperson, I get to choose a different customer. So I can choose which customer to see. So I can go in and look at Boyle's Country Inns, see their information. I could then toggle across to Computers Unlimited and see their information. But it's the exact same view that a customer would see that I see as a salesperson. Okay, I can change the password, and there's a contact us link there which is available to customers as well. And these subjects, which are drawn from a list, are user definable. So you can configure these in the setup of the module. So I've got one of change of details. We might have one called change of address or something else that they could pick, type the information in and then submit that. And that will send an email to the address which has been specified in the configuration as well. Okay, so that's our Customer HQ portal there. Now, the first two portals, Customer HQ and Sales HQ, are actually very much related to each other. So I'm just going to restart the service there. As I'll show you the next slide, Sales HQ will then be ready for me. So when you buy portals, it will be Customer HQ or Sales HQ, because Customer HQ is a subset of the functionality of Sales HQ. So what's Sales HQ? As you can see from the screenshot there, a lot more functionality available through here. Okay, so on Sales HQ, we can create new prospects, we can create quotes, orders, or invoices. We can also do a lookup on inventory or a price lookup, as well as seeing the same transactions and statement views that we could see through the Customer HQ. So just to show you the difference in there, if I refresh that now, hopefully this is toggled across. There we go. Now Sales HQ, I'm here. Customers can still log in. So as a customer, if I log in on here, I'll use the, oops, sorry, wrong one. If I use the same customer as before, look in there, you'll see that as a customer on the system, I see the same transactions and statement sections, but I can also do my own inventory lookup, so I can check that a quantity is available before I place an order. But I can do price lookup, but I can also place an order directly. So if a salesperson can't get out to see me for whatever reason, which at the moment we have a big reason, what I can do is I can raise my own order on the system if I need to, but obviously the salesperson can communicate with me and raise the order on my behalf as well. So what I'll do is I'll sign out as a salesperson and sign back in as a salesperson here. Sorry, sign out as a customer in as a salesperson. And it's the same as before. We've got to choose a different customer option at the top here. But what we've got is the different options here. So I can add a prospect, add a quote, put an order on. You'll notice on the slide deck, there's a reports tab there that integrates with SQL Server reporting services. I don't have that configured in my environment, but allows you to drill in and generate reports through SSRS and view them through the portal as well. But if I was going to raise an order, what I can do is click on See More and drill into here. And it's creating the order against the customer I'd selected. So what I can do here is I can pick a different address. I can overtype the address, and just as with GP, if I overtype the address, it will just change it on this one order. It's not changing the saved address. We can set a requested ship date. Can put a customer purchase order number in if I have one. These are some user-defined fields which have been made available to the web portal in the configuration. I've said which ones can be used. And then what I can do is hit Add Items, and this will allow me then to do an inventory lookup. And if I type part of a product name and hit Return, it will do a search on both the item number and the item description and find things which match on both sides, or one side or the other, sorry. And I can see the quantity available, I can see the unit price, the list price there. So what I could do is select an item, and it'll pull it back, it'll default me through a price level, so unit measure, the quantity, I can override, I can change the price level there if I want to, pick a different price list. And if I know what the price is, maybe there's been a change, I could change the price there, and then hit Add to add that onto the order. And it presents me this window, so I can add another item onto there as well if I want to. And I can go through adding multiple items onto the system. When I'm happy, I can close that down. And this view here is showing me then all of the lines which I've added. I can save the order for later. So I can hit save there. It'll save it into my basket. And what we'll see, if I go into order entry again for this customer, it's reloading the same order. So I can be putting an order on the system, get so far through, save it, and come back later on. And when I'm happy, what I can then do is hit submit, and it'll send that document through into Dynamics GP. Just give that a quick moment to process. There we go. And it's returned to me the order number that's been created in GP. So it's created order 2236. And that's now an order in GP. And what I can do is I can pull off the order form there, get a PDF version of that. So there's more functionality there than there is in PurchaseHQ. It's basically a superset of what's available, and the PurchaseHQ has those two available, but I can do inventory lookups or price lookups. What I might do is go in, I'm on the phone talking to a customer, I want to see what stock's available to me, and he's wanting a phone, so I can type phone in, hit return, and it'll list me all the phones off the system. So I can go down the list and say, okay, we've got 23 green phones in stock. We've got what else have we got? We will get different wall phones, phone bases, other things. So when I'm talking on the phone, I can work down the list of what it is he's looking for. Or if customers are given access, of course, they could be doing that sort of check themselves. So they can then see information that's available on the system. And this level is something that's only available on the PurchaseHQ product. Okay, we'll sign out of that. So that's our PurchaseHQ and PurchaseHQ products. PurchaseHQ, transaction view and statements. PurchaseHQ allows you to do lookups on inventory, on prices, and enter transactions as well. Okay, and the third portal we have is PurchaseHQ. And this one allows us to do workflow approvals. So things like approve a purchase order, purchase requisition, might do payables batches, payables transactions, vendor change. All of the purchasing series workflows are available for approval through PurchaseHQ. It also provides screens for inputting either purchase requisitions or purchase orders, depending on the configuration, as well as entering receipts into the system as well. So to log into PurchaseHQ here, log in. One point to make, the address here, this is the default address that's being created. This was my server name that I'm using. This is customizable, so you can have your own domain on here. So this one that I was logged into, igsaleshq.gpelements.com, that's a custom domain that's been added. So that could be sales.example.com or whatever it is that you've got. You can have a customized address on there, and it is HTTPS, it is secured with an SSL certificate. So logons to PurchaseHQ are a little different to the Sales and Custom HQ ones. PurchaseHQ uses an Active Directory sign-on, and you configure within GP whether or not the user can use PurchaseHQ for doing transactions. If they're not configured to do transactions, they would then only have access to doing workflow approvals and only get those if they are an approval within workflow. So when we log in, this is the homepage. 3 sections depending on the level of PurchaseHQ you're using. Purchasing is where you can do document entry, goods receipt note, and we can see orders on the system. So if I click on document entry, in this case I'm seeing purchase orders, and this is a purchase order I'm partway through entering, but I haven't yet submitted into the system. So if I was going to create a new one, I'd hit on new document, select the creditor that I want from the list. So I might want Advanced Office Systems, select the required date, and I can then put in here a description, and this is used as a reference on here. So when I look back at a purchase order I'm partway through processing, I know what it is that the order was for. So I might want a new server. And we can hit add there, and it'll pull me back then into the purchase order entry window. As you can see, it's a bit cleaner than the standard GP one, which for users who aren't regularly users of GP can be a bit confusing. This is a lot cleaner in appearance. What we can do on here is we've got that Gale section, the attachment sections. So the attachment section would allow me to add, say, a quote from a supplier or a product spec sheet from a supplier as well. So I can attach information on here, and this will be used in the approval side of things, that the approver can see that as well. If I click on add item, again, just as on Sales HQ, what I can do is I can do a search for a product item number or name, find the item I want, hit add it, it'll pull me through here and allow me now to say, okay, I want this to North site. I actually want to get 5 of them. The available unit of measures are each in case, so we'll go with the case, and we'll tell it what the cost is there and what the required date is. That will default through and put a comment in if I want to, and hit add. And I'll add that line on. And I can go through and I can add as many lines on here as I want. I can do attach. I can then browse for the attachment I want, pick up the relevant file, and hit add there, and I'll add that attachment in there. I can save it for recall later on, or I can submit it. And when I hit submit here, what it's going to do, it's going to submit this for approval into the standard Microsoft Dynamics GP workflow module. So there's no additional configuration needed for PurchaseHQ and workflow. Just having the workflow process within GP means that this will work in the same way it would if it was submitted directly through the GP client. So when I hit submit, I can put a comment in here. Comments are optional at this point. What I could do is say, please approve for GP upgrade, and hit submit. I'll then submit that through, and it'll then come back to me with a purchase order number once that submission's happened. And it will automatically be submitted into workflow for approval. And it'll follow all of the usual workflow rules. So there we go, purchase order 2086 is being created. That's on the system now. If we go to home, what I can do is go to my orders, and it's showing me orders that I have raised on the system. We can see that 2086 is being created. Status of new because it hasn't yet been produced. It hasn't been printed off. If it was printed off, it would then show status of released. And it's pending user action because it's been submitted to workflow for approval. So that will follow the workflow for approval. And when an approver logs in, they'll have a workflow approval section. And in here, it shows you the different types of workflow that you can approve. So payables, and these are basically the workflows that I have created in GP that's showing me here. So this particular one is a purchase order approval. If we drill into there, this will show me everything I have pending for approval. So you can see here, I've got 2 different companies listed. It's because I've got workflows in 2 different modules of GP with transactions submitted to them for approval. So without having to toggle between different companies, I can see all of my approvals in one place. So instead of getting a dozen or 10 different emails there for approval, you got this to approve, you got this to approve, I get one list here. I can just log on. There's a list of everything to approve in one go. If I want to, I can limit this down by typing in the company name just to get access to the one company I want to do approvals for at the moment. Or what I can do, I can see everything there. In this case, what we'll do is we'll drill into the most recent one. And this is to show you the view from an approver's point of view. We see the header information, we see all of the line information, we see the attachment that's there as well. So I can open that up, download the file, have a look at it. I can apply comments in here if I want to. If I'm going to reject, I must put a comment in. I have to say why I'm rejecting. But in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do an approval. So a comment at this point is optional, but what we have here is the workflow history. So I can see the steps it's gone through. It was originated, it's come to a step called all. So that's the name that I call the workflow approval step within the workflow process. I can see the data that's come through. I can see who it's with for approval. If I'm happy with that, I can hit approve that. If this was a later stage of approval, I'd see the people who've been approving it before it had reached me. And that's gone through there and it's dropped off my list. So as I approve each thing, it disappears from the list, only leaving me the ones that still have to be approved. If it was a multi-step workflow process, that will go through to the next person for approval that's defined within workflow, and they'd also be able to do the approval through the web portal. So on that purchase order approval, I've now got 9 tasks pending instead of 10. And what I can do is go back to the My Order section, and I can see in here 2086 is now completed as a workflow status. It's no longer pending user action, it's fully approved. Now, depending on user configuration, on system configuration, sorry, when I go to receiving, even if the purchase order has not been released, I can still receive it, provided the option's been marked for me doing that. So what I could do on here is I'm seeing the lines that's on the order there. What I could do is say, I'm going to part receive that, cancel the remainder, or I could be fully receiving that there. And we've got the serial number entry box there, so I can come through here and record the serial numbers on the system. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put serial numbers in there. Okay, so I've got 5 serial numbers in, no remaining select, I can save that there. Oh, I've had an error with my serial number input there. So that shouldn't have happened, that should have let me progress through. But what I could do there is then submit that. Obviously the serial number thing's throwing me an error there, so I can't submit it. But if I hit submit there, it will create me a receipt into GP, into receiving's transaction entry. And that would then be processed as normal through GP. The batch it gets added to is configurable. You tell it what the batch ID should be in the system setup. So there's a few options around PurchaseHQ. One that I forgot to mention was on the purchase order entry side. When you're looking up items or sites, there are controls in place within PurchaseHQ to restrict it down only to the items and sites which are assigned to an item. They've been done through the windows in GP. Or you can toggle a setting to allow you to use any item or site regardless if the link is there. One setting for items, one setting for sites. That you can mark to say, allow anything to be used, and it will automatically then create the links for you when the item is used for a particular vendor or for a particular site. But that's an optional setting. You can follow the standard GP behavior of only using the links that have been explicitly created. So that's our PurchaseHQ side there for the entering of transactions and the purchase order approval. The other types of approvals works just the same way. Got a transaction approval, it will list me all the invoices on the system that haven't yet been approved that are pending with me. I can drill in and see it. I can see all the information. If there was attachments, I can see those. I can see the workflow history. So in this case, I can see it's been submitted, it's then been recalled and resubmitted. But I'd see any rejections or anything else. We've got the comments that go with that. So no approval required there. No approval required there either. So I can see the different statuses things would go through. Okay, and a lot of these other messages, such as a logout message, the login messages, these are all configurable. So this is something I can define through the setup window that's created in GP. So I can choose what the message says when I do log in there. So it doesn't have to say Fabricant purchasing portal. Obviously, you can say welcome to whatever you wanted to say or whatever else. All of this text here is configurable. That's in there. Okay, so that's our PurchaseHQ module there as a quick overview of the functionality available. And you can see that our standard monthly subscription pricing, which includes the Azure costs.
Thanks, Ian. I think one thing to mention there, it mentions at the bottom of the slide that we do offer a free trial. It's something that we can do. We can set up a monthly, a single month trial for you to try any of our portals on your own live data. So you can just see how it works for you. It's much better when you're seeing it within your own environment and seeing with your own data, and we're happy to set that up as well. Our current pricing is always on our website, gpelements.com. We do have promotions from time to time, but I'd say the first thing is maybe look at a free trial, have a look at how it's going to work for you. Thanks, Ian. I think we're kind of running to the end of the session. We want to, we've got a number of add-ons as well as portals, and details of those are on our gpelements.com website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ian. That was really, really helpful and certainly something that we are excited about. So thank you all for attending, and I hope you all have a safe and happy Tuesday.